everybody. I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back on the Dice Tower. This is where I take a look at reviews that I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago and tell you what I think about those games at this point in time. So let's go back a year ago this week. And first we have Ragusa, which I thought was a fine game. In this game, it's an interesting game as you're placing different buildings out next to these hexes. And then you activate that hex, but every building there activates. So as you place them, more and more actions occur. The idea is interesting, getting resources, trading them in, but I felt that the board was too static and that the game felt almost as if there was certain things that you have to do. Now, I will say this. I thought the game was okay. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. Just okay. But I have noticed a lot of people really enjoying it over the past year at conventions. So this could just be me. Carousel. I love the idea of the merry-go-round, although this is a very abstract game. What's interesting here is the board is rotating, and you're placing these different different animals in the carousel out, trying to form matching shapes and things. So it's an interesting game, but I worry that it might be too thinky for the amount of fun that it gives back. I thought it was okay. Then Throw Burrito. Probably not my style at all, but my kids loved it and loved it. This one, of course, from the folks who made Exploding Cat. You turn around and you throw these burritos at each other like a duel, or you grab the burrito as fast as you can. There's nothing new here, but kids might enjoy it. Wingspan, the European birds. So I like this expansion. It doesn't really add anything major to the game, just a lot more birds with a few mechanisms, which I do like. But hey, why not? They're about to introduce the newest expansion for Wingspan. The Oceania one's coming out very, very soon. So it's kind of, I guess they're a year apart in that way. But I like this one. It doesn't change the game. If you like Wingspan or don't like Wingspan, this isn't going to do anything except it adds more birds. And they kept the ratios the same, which I found really cool. Porto. This is a very light game about putting buildings together in one of my favorite illustrated boards from last year. It had a whimsical look to it. I like that. This is a very simple game we might even call a gateway game, but very easy to play. Chocolate Factory. Now, both this one and the next one, which both have the word factory in, I considered actually raising up because I like them that much. So we'll see as time goes by where my final opinion on Chocolate Factory is, but it's at least this good, at least an 8. Chocolate Factory, where you're changing chocolates and upgrading chocolates into better chocolates and then delivering them to shops, has this conveyor belt movement on it, which I really like. You're setting up this little engine building thing, which feels extremely thematic. It's a really neat game. Chocolate Factory. Then Fantastic Factories, and this is another one. Now, I think Fantastic Factories might be pushed up to an 8.5 if there's any kind of expansion that adds a few more cards just for some more variety. But Fantastic Factory, where you roll dice, assign them to your factories, using those factories to produce things to get more factories. I really like the motif and the artwork. These are two really fun games, both Chocolate Factory and Fantastic Factories. And then Sprawlopolis. Man, it's a solitaire game. It's a micro game. Those are two things against it. I'm not interested at all. And yet I heard so many good things about it, and I had played Circle the Wagons and liked it. I played it and loved it. Now, yes, it doesn't have to be solitaire. I will never play it anything but solitaire. The expansion for it's on Kickstarter right now. The sequel/expansion to it, which I'm excited about. But this game, 18 cards. You use 3 of them as scoring and then place the rest out. Just a really cool concept. I like it a lot. All right, 5 years ago, I took a look at Matcha. Matcha is a very simple little game about collecting things from a Japanese kind of tea ceremony. Beautiful artwork, really simple game, plays really nicely with 2 players. I was very impressed with this game. Although, incidentally, I played it with Z, and he had the very opposite reaction to me. All right, 10 years ago, that's the only one from 5 years ago. 10 years ago, I took a look at Hexahedron, which is a cool-looking game with blocks and abstract strategy, matching stuff, but forgettable. Ramses Pyramid. Now, what's interesting to me about this one is I said it was good for kids. I'm going to drop the rating a little bit because I was looking at it. The game itself is pretty bad, and there's so many of these Lego games that I really don't want to recommend any one over the rest. Also, they're very expensive at this point in time. This one's okay. It's ranked really low on Board Game Geek, one of the lowest ranked games on Board Game Geek. So, yeah, my kids had a good time with it briefly, but it's forgotten. We've never touched it since. Telestrations. This, on the other hand, has gone up. Great party game. There's a public domain version of this called Eat Poop You Cat, but essentially it's Whisper Down the Alley, drawing pictures. Every time this one goes over well. I would mention that if you're going to get it, get the big party pack to play it with as many people as possible. Alien Frontiers, 10 years now. Wow. The game that kickstarted Kickstarter, essentially. So, hooray! That's something to be thankful for, I guess. The Kickstarter definitely has changed the industry. Alien Frontiers, a dice placement game. I still really like this one a lot, and this one has dropped slightly for me, but only because there are so many other good games in this genre out there. That's the only reason. It hasn't really changed much. And then Dungeons & Dragons Castle Ravenloft, a game that has had 5 sequels to it. A game that looks like a dungeon crawl, but I don't really consider it to be that. It doesn't feel like one. It feels more like a cooperative game, which it is, in which players are going through and fighting monsters. You can mix these games together, which I have, although I have them all separated out now. You can in our Dice Tower library, so you can play each one separately. But this was the one that started off the whole genre of taking Dungeons & Dragons, putting it into a board game, having characters that leveled up and special abilities. But I thought the system worked really well, and I still enjoy it. Anyway, those are the reviews that I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.